Good afternoon and welcome to NCIA's Industry Essentials Educational Webinar Series, our premier digital educational platform featuring a variety of interactive programming to provide you and your team timely, engaging, and essential education when and where you need it most. In today's program entitled 5 Growth Hacks Cannabis Retailers Can Learn from Mainstream Retailers, being presented by American Security Services, you'll hear from operator owners in cannabis retail and their financial partners about essential growth hacking tips helping them grow greener profits faster. Are you one of the many cannabis companies still unbanked? Well, look no further, as today's session will give you the tools you need to make decisions about your cash and asset management today and into the future. So to kick things off, I'd like to welcome our moderator for today's session, Albert Porto, the National Account Manager at American Security Services, to the virtual stage to kick things off. He'll be providing a quick overview of today's panel and outline of today's subject. All right, well, welcome to NCIA's Industry Essentials, Albert. Great to see you here. Thanks for joining us as well, Steve. You all can activate your video feeds as you have and just take it away from here.
All right, thanks, Brian, and thanks everyone who's joined today. I want to give a huge thanks to Brian and Brooke and the entire NCIA committee and team for putting on this platform for education. I saw the poll and we have knowledge building at the top of the list. So that's exactly what we want to do in this industry, is help our partners and all of our entire community grow this industry into something more profitable and just move into the next era of cannabis. With me today is Steve Moores from Dama Financial. Welcome, Steve. And unfortunately, I don't see Ronnie Gabby, the director from Sectran. However, we will be able to speak on his slides. Steve, hello.
Thank you, Albert. Good morning. How you doing?
Doing very well.
Good.
All right, so let's dive right into the learning objectives. So today, what we want to do is help you make your process better. What we find today is cash is a nuisance in some of these areas when it comes to volume and how to secure it, how to store it, how to validate the data of cash when you're getting that in. So we want to make sure we improve your operational efficiencies using the right technology. Want to make sure that the financial partners that you're using are cannabis friendly. They're offering programs like provisional credit, and you're able to obviously move into a new era of how to handle your cash through banking and through the security measures that we've put in place. And at the end of the day, we also want to make sure security and safety are at the top of mind. So making sure your compliance is ready to go, your security is top notch is very important when it comes to managing your cash. Okay, so challenge number one of the things that we've seen in all of our work, Steve, myself, and Ronnie, and our consultancy, is we find there are a lot of touch points when it comes to cash in a cannabis environment. So one of those things that we see in retail, for example, is a consumer comes in and provides that cash to the employee. From there, there are many touch points that follow all of that dollar down to where it becomes inefficient and, quite frankly, very risky to the security of that dollar. Many times what you'll see is that shrink does become part of that equation, whether that's employee theft or external theft. So that's what we hear around the industry. We hear that employees are unfortunately missing in their tills. So do they steal? Do they not? Unfortunately, that is a very real realization that they do steal. Money tends to just disappear. It tends to just not make it to that last deposit. So that's become somewhat of a concern for growth. We want to make sure that employees are being paid very well to manage your cash, manage your growth. We want to make sure that that is all accountable when it comes to taking your cash into accountability. Okay, so growth hack number one. This is where we want to educate using the right machine for the right purpose. And that's where a smart safe comes into play. So the American Security Smart Safe through Cash Wizard is going to offer many benefits, various elements of security, safety, data points, and of course, streamlining the process of handling your cash. So we want to make sure that all of those items are in check when you're implementing a smart, safe security system. All right, so one of the things that we've noticed is the process for cash. So again, revisiting the cash process, we have cash that is then exchanged for product at the retail level. So your bud tenders or your cashiers are taking that cash in and putting it in a till. After the till, most likely being given to a vault manager or just any manager, where it's being counted manually or through a jet counter. That jet counter is a product that has been proven to be inefficient when it comes to your count, because then you still have to store that in a traditional safe. From that traditional safe, it's taken out 2 or 3 more times to be counted before it's finally banded and prepared for a bank run, and then finally makes it to the bank. So in that time period, we're experiencing hours of recounts. So those recounts and hours can be quantified based on your employee salaries, how much money you're spending on just counting cash. That's one of these issues that we want to address. How do you make that process more efficient? How do we become more effective at counting cash, securing it, and making sure that it's always going to be in a safe place, ready for that bank run, while not spending countless hours reconciling every dollar that comes through your store. So enter a smart safe. That's how we want to do that.
All right, perfect, Albert. Well, I know that we had a few polls that went up in line with some of your remarks recently, and I think that we are a little bit off the ball. So I just wanted to just clarify with your all's team, Catherine, which poll that we wanted to share the results for on this slide very fast.
Yeah, we'd definitely be interested in learning what everyone's number one thwart to their growth is. So if you could pop that poll back up, thank you.
Yeah, employee theft.
Yeah, that's a big one. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Brian.
Albert. I know that we didn't share the results for that in line, so just wanted to make sure that we got that captured in there. And thank you all for the responses for that poll. So let's dive right back into the program.
Absolutely. And Brian, actually, if we don't mind putting up the poll for the how many employees are allowed to handle cash, I'd love to get a little more insight from the participants today on what that looks like. So about 1 to 5, 100%. Wow. Okay, very good. So I will touch on the employee theft when we go into the smart safe slide, but let's talk about that employee cash handling count. So about 1 to 5 employees are counting your cash. And so that is where we want to see the efficiency come in. We see that too many employees are touching that same cash. And so that cash is going into a vault while it's been counted by 5 employees that are making a good salary. And so that's where you start seeing those inefficiencies come in play. There's no custody of that dollar because it's being touched by multiple people. So the accountability behind every one of those employees is something we want to address. And with the smart safe, we can address that. Okay. So again, traditionally, we have a lot of cannabis retailers that are using a jet counter. What they're doing is taking that money, counting it manually, or putting it through a jet counter. From there, they're going to have to journal that cash. So as you're noticing, it's a very archaic process. It's very manual, and it has a lot of human elements on it. Most likely, of course, human errors. So when you're doing that journaling, you're having to write in that number, and then you're having to then transfer that into an email or into a spreadsheet, all manually. So you have keystroke errors. You have someone who's maybe just not having the right kind of day, and so they wrote in the wrong number in that journal. So at the end of the day, we want to eliminate some of these processes that just give you more risk at having the wrong numbers. How we do that is with a smart safe. So this is our line of smart safes. Smart safes are a product that is designed to make your life easier, account for your cash, and automate a lot of your processes. So through our bill feeders, you're able to put in the cash where it's going to be counted, it's going to be reconciled, it's going to create reports. And at the end of the day, it's also going to give you security because it's going to be behind all 1/2-inch thick steel doors so that there's security measures in place, and it's going to eliminate all of that archaic process when it comes to manual counts and manual storage. Okay, so with the right process, this is what it would look like. We have an employee who's going to put the money into the smart safe. The bill readers are going to count the bills. It's going to verify against counterfeit detects. It's going to detect counterfeits. If there is a counterfeit bill that's being put into the smart safe, it will reject that. So that's going to be spit out so that you can address that separately. What we want is our bank deposit to be a full and true number so that you don't have any dings or any bank fees that come from having the wrong count or a counterfeit bill in your stack. So the smart safe will help against that. Of course, it's going to write an audit for each and every single transaction. Employees are going to interact with the safe. The moment an employee logs into the safe, we know what time, what date, and what employee is working on the smart safe, whether that's making a deposit, opening a door, or just anything that has to do with reporting. All interaction is being recorded through an audit that you can then access through our secure cloud-based dashboard, okay? With smart safes, you also have different peripherals. So we have tube vents available, which can help rolled bills and rolled coins be dispensed at the retail level. And we also have sidecars, such as B-rate safes that can tie into all the audit records. And that way you can store your tills, other valuables, even product, and use the smart safe system and the cloud dashboard to better have security of all of your interactions with the smart safe. Okay, so how do we have the new process in place? So we noticed in the past it was many touch points. There was employees who were touching the money multiple times, and it just became inefficient. Again, you can quantify based on the salary of an employee and how much money they spend counting cash, or how much money you're spending on a daily basis on that cash count. So with the smart safe, this is your new process. So once you have that point of purchase completed, the employee or the bud tender is going to then log into the smart safe and very quickly put in the safe, log into the safe and put the money into the smart safe. At that point, the smart safe is doing all of those processes automatically. It's going to count the cash. You do not have to prep the bills for face up or face down or left or right going in. It's all going to be automated. So once the employee starts putting the money into the smart safe, it's counting the cash. It's making sure that it's going to give you that report for how much cash is being put in. It's also going to prepare the deposit for your courier. So a courier can come in, your employee logs in just to give them access to the smart safe. They go back to helping the customers on the floor. And then the CIT courier is going to go ahead and pick that cash up. So it's going to streamline your entire cash process so that you realize savings in all your cash management.
Hey, Albert. Since the poll at the start of this let us know that several people are joining us who may not be retailers, they might be in a different part of the industry, they're manufacturers, they're packagers, they deal with cash as well. We've got a photo here of folks, and we're talking a lot about retail, but is this something that, you know, those producers or cultivators can also take advantage of? And what does that look like?
Absolutely. So we've seen cultivators and manufacturers both reach out to us because they have heavy cash volume. And so a smart safe is, again, a very streamlined way of managing cash. So with the smart safe, we do have a dedicated smart safe called the 4-reader BR3123. That is a 4-cassette safe, and it can hold up to 8,800 notes. And it's a very fast reader with the bunch note feeders. So with cultivators and manufacturers, and just essentially anyone that deals with cash and wants a better process can use smart safe technology and the reporting on the cloud dashboard to better process their cash throughout their entire cycle. So good question. Okay, so this is the environment that a smart safe would live in. So the smart safe is going to count every single transaction. Anytime an employee logs in, we're going to have that transaction audited. And if it's a cash transaction, you're going to have all the cash data online and on the safe itself. So all of that becomes a digital report that we then can send to the courier and, of course, your financial institution. That could be the bank or a Dama Financial, as an example. And so all of that information is on a website, and you can see on a daily basis all of your deposits, all of your daily credits, and, of course, what the money that's going to the bank looks like as well. So it streamlines all of your accounting when it comes to the cash, starting from the deposit into the smart safe. Okay.
Thanks, Albert.
Absolutely, Steve.
And yeah, great information. And I want to go back to that question that Catherine was on the manufacturers and cultivators with the use of smart safes. And so today we are getting requests from our customers, our cultivators, distributors, deliveries. And one of the things I would point out for a cultivator would be is that I know they deal with a higher volume of cash, and sometimes a concern with how much, getting all the cash into the safe. One of the educating things we do for cultivators is that you may necessarily don't need to put all your cash in there. You may need to use your cash for other options. And what you could do is utilize the safe that you need to expedite certain payments. If you need to pay taxes or employee payroll and things, you need fast access to that safe, of that cash in the safe. We could then provide that and get that taken care of for you quickly. And so that way you're not backlogging the safe, but you could utilize the safe to make fast payments, what you could do from a cultivated standpoint. So I'm going to talk a little bit about digital currency and transactions. Is that in today's world, we're always talking about how to change the ecosystem in cash. And I love talking about cash. My background is about 35 years in the cash environment. And so one of the things we've done is that with partnering with AMSAC and SecTran with SmartSafe, is being able to integrate compliance through the SmartSafes. And one of the top items we've been doing compliance is a built-in metric. A lot of folks use a metric reporting for their sales and cash. What happened is with that metric data, we're able to tie that into the with our back office with the SmartSafe and reference that back to the provisional credit, so that if a client is doing $3,000 in sales, we can validate that through the metric without giving any type of documentation on that. So that has been very helpful, and it's streamlining and saves the customer time. Provisional credit, this is a big one. Some folks may not need provisional credit, but a lot of folks do. And what provisional credit allows you to do is get all your cash transactions from the prior day into your account the next business day. And so this allows you to have fast access to your cash without requesting a cash pickup and taking 2 or 3 days to get into your account. This will allow you to faster access to your cash and do what you need to do to run your business. The visibility is one thing we talk about. Albert and myself talk all the time, is the visibility that you have with the safe. As your employees are making deposits into that, you're able to see what's been deposited in your safe, how much is in there, what employee actually put that transaction into the safe. And it gives you the extra security. Not only is the safe being provided with insurance, the cash is being insured, and along with the safe, but also too with the CIT with SecTran, is that once they take possession of that cash, those funds are fully insured. And the thing with SecTran is they actually have one of the best coverages with cannabis cash as well. And then your boundaries. So out there, what you could do is, I talk to customers all the time, is that I have a customer that sits in Southern California and they have locations up in the Bay Area. By having SmartSafe, you have full visibility of what's going on in your other locations without physically being there. You don't even need a call. You have the visibility of what's inside that safe and what transactions are taking place and what's available for accounting purposes. So it allows you to really expand your visibility outside the boundaries in the network. And then pay your vendors. I'll talk a little bit about that. What happens is now you got the cash into your banking solution. Now you're able to use other payments of either checks, ACH, and wires into your account. It allows you other ways and forms of payments.
Hey, Steve, can we go back to talking a little bit about growing beyond your borders? Because this is really about learning how we can hack the system and be prepared for our future into 30 years or beyond. Don't you find, or haven't you found, that several of our clients tend to want to grow beyond their borders in terms of the city, the state, the county that they operate in? And in doing so, that might require them to have multiple banks. And obviously managing multiple banks, if you're in different places, is very difficult. Can you talk a little bit about that part of the expansion or growing beyond your borders, and how having this kind of a partnership with a SmartSafe and the right kind of financial and the right kind of courier partner facilitates that?
Yeah, great question, Catherine. And that is one thing that we at Dama we offer, is that we're in every state that's legal. And so we could operate in all those states. With the partnership with AMSAC, we could create national coverage with the safe. That's including Hawaii and Alaska. And what we could do is, we also partner with multiple armor providers in other markets. So for example, SecTran's in California and Nevada, and if you want a operation in Oklahoma, we could provide you with that service without you having to have multiple banks. So Dama can provide you one single bank solution through the entire network of the legal states out there today.
Great. And you know what? I was just advised that a question came in through our Facebook Live. Someone wanted to know if there's a Wi-Fi connection that can be connected to a smart device or a laptop to give the management an overview perspective every time a count is done. And we've got a great answer for that. Albert or Steve?
I'll leave it over to you, Albert.
Yes, absolutely. So these smart safes are designed to operate on a Wi-Fi connection or an Ethernet connection. So as long as you have an Ethernet connection, we have all of our smart safe deposit data transferred to our cloud every 15 minutes. So within 15 minutes, you can know exactly how much money is being put into your smart safe. So in a way, it's a live count. Anytime that you see that smart safe being interacted with, you can see that data and that reporting online. You can also set up alerts. So anytime somebody logs into your smart safe, you can receive an alert on your email, your phone number, and it's going to tell you somebody's interacting with your smart safe. And it's going to also tell you the amount of money. And lastly, just to offer another solution to that, we also have automated reports. So if you have daily reports that you want emailed to you on how much money was put inside your smart safe on a daily basis, you can select that report to be sent on a daily basis so that you have your cash count at your fingertips right away.
And that's just the iceberg, right?
Yeah, if I could add one more thing with Albert, the other thing is to that question. With Dama, we actually have our solution is on an app-based solution. So a customer could actually see their whole banking through their app on their smartphone. And with that too, we've integrated with the partnership with DAMSAC, we've been able to integrate the safe information right in through the Dama bank account. So what happened is when a Dama account has access to the account, they can see full visibility of the safe through the Dama account as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the learning curve, one of the things I found is that I have a great customer of mine that's a delivery, and they have 60 drivers. And so what they do is they use the safe for each of the drivers coming in, making their daily deposits as they come back from the routes. And I would tell you, the day we had the safe installed, the next morning we already were giving them provisional credit of about $20,000 to $30,000, and the excitement that we got back from them was tremendous. And also too, the amount of time it was saving them to have to go back and count that cash in the back office, they were able to reconcile that very quickly. So the learning curve was actually pretty fast, to be surprising on that. I think what the toughest learning curve comes in is just getting past the excitement of all the different reports that you can pull from the system. So it gives you all these different abilities of reports that you can do.
Yeah, and because the learning curve is so short, and this quote right here from one of our current customers up in Washington really speaks to a couple different things going on in all industries right now, which is increased costs for just about everything. I mean, costs for goods, costs for services, employee costs. We're definitely learning that people are starting to be concerned about the cost of labor. So if you can eliminate some of those time sucks, you really are going to see an increase in revenue.
And, yeah, that's a very good point too in today's world now with the challenges of hiring employees and stuff out there today, is that this actually takes, you could actually reduce, an FTE if needed, just by the fact that by utilizing the safe, if you're in a tight situation, getting people hired on.
All right, this is growth hack number 3, and we apologize. Ronnie was at last minute not able to join us. So growth hack number 3 is about hiring a professional driver. And I'm going to let Albert and Steve talk to this, but I want to make sure that everyone aware is, carrying large amounts of cash is dangerous. It's dangerous for your employees. It's dangerous for your bottom line. I mean, from just an asset protection point. So hiring a professional driver, not putting yourself, not putting your employees in harm, and being in charge of all that cash is a significant, lifesaver when we talk about shrink and combating that. So Albert or Steve?
Albert, if you want, I can cover it if you like. My background is 30 years in the armored truck business, so I could definitely talk a little bit about this. And the hiring of professional drivers is very important when it comes to handling your cash. It's your second largest asset besides your people. And so what happened is the armored truck providers go through a background check and training that they do in order for an employee to be able to work for them. And so we saw a location. Matter of fact, I saw some news the other day of a cannabis location being robbed. Sad part about it is none of the funds are insured, and putting the people at risk. Or folks are taking money and taking it down to the Capitol, pay their taxes, and standing there with all that cash available, where with an armored provider, having the right driver doing that for you is very essential. And then also to the bank robberies, in my past slide, things have changed where banks are really changing now, where they don't really keep as much cash on the premises like they used to back in the days. And so bank robberies still were up in 2019. And so what ends up happening is a lot of bank robbers don't actually want to go after the armored truck. They're trying to go after the cash. So what happened is they try to time it to get into the bank before an armored provider is showing up, because they know once that armored provider shows up, it's in a secured environment. And so the risk is still out there, and this is why the armored providers section take that security. And then when you look at the armored robberies, in my past too, a lot of the robberies don't take place at the truck. It actually takes place in the actual scene of the incident, because what happened is the robber is trying to rob the location, and so happen the armored truck provider comes up to service the location, and they get caught up in that particular robbery. But it's very rare that they go after a truck these days in the US.
And in fact, a lot of the data that we researched showed that where people are getting robbed is, oddly enough, not just at the ATM, which of course we expect, and not just at the counter where we see the silent, note slip to that counter attendant, but at night depository drops. So if you're doing night deposit drops, obviously that's a risk. We see people at the business counter or, approaching the business counter. So on that approach, so there's a lot of, thwarts. And again, depending on whether someone comes up to you, with a gun or a note, it's classified either, as a robbery or, some other escalated, version of a, theft attempt. So not everything is even reported. That's just a really important distinction to make as well.
Yeah, and what's also true to take back on this too is that it just takes one person to know what the other person is doing. So for example, if I'm sending an individual to a ATM machine to make a deposit or go to a bank to make a deposit and they're transporting that cash, doesn't mean, I always use the term like, I trust you, but I don't trust people you trust. So you don't know where that word of information gets by. So they know that, hey, Steve's taking that money over here and you're putting your employees at risk by transporting that cash in a personal vehicle. So the armored providers definitely, they're bonded, they're secured, they're insured. Your assets is definitely protected. And what's most important is to protect your employees.
And then also to just back up that slide, if you don't mind there, Brian, for a hot minute. Steve had mentioned it earlier on a different slide, but certain couriers and certain financial folks like DAMA, like Sectron, have very specific policies in place for cannabis where others do not. And there's only really one CIT courier that we're aware of that currently carries a cannabis specific policy. So look for couriers that offer a cannabis specific policy. You want to save time, not complicate the process. And same with financial providers. There's very few that are able to operate state to state, or nationally. There's very few, like DAMA, who is able to also handle like a full chain of kind of custody when you're talking about compliance. So really important though that your courier have special protections in place to handle your business.
And so again, with that, with all of our armored providers that we contract out for our services, we do all the sniff check and go through the practice and making sure that they have the proper coverage.
And here we have another really important poll too. I think Brian's going to pop it up for us if you wouldn't mind answering our last poll of the day. And then we're going to move on to growth hacks. Number 4, hire partners who can grow with you.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll give it a few more seconds for everybody to get those responses into that live poll. Thanks to all the audience members who have had an interactive experience with us throughout today's program so far. I think we're about to hit critical mass. Make sure to get those responses in if you want a chance to win a free month of seedling level membership with NCIA.
All right, and while those polls are coming in, oh, they just came in. All right, so we have unbanked and other leading. So firstly, thank you, Steve. That was exactly what we need to hear of when it comes to banking and CIT services. We want to make sure we have the right partners in place. And that's a perfect segue for these next slides. What we want is the industry to understand that there are resources out there that are designed to help you circumvent some of these federal laws that are preventing you from having the right partners manage your cash. So luckily for us, we do have those resources like Dama Financial, who have legally been able to help out the cannabis industry grow into being a banked industry. So for those of you that answered unbanked, Dama is the correct option for you to have that banking relationship, okay? So what we wanna do here is we wanna find those resources and help you become more aware of how you can grow your business through the right partnerships. So I saw in the Q&A, somebody asked, how well does this work state to state? So American Security is implemented in all 50 states, including also going into Canada as well. And like Steve mentioned, Dama Financial is in all the states where cannabis is legal. So you have options, and those options include having a smart safe installed with American Security and Dama Financial, so that you have all of your cash management needs serviced by one solution that can get you banked, more secure, and more streamlined when it comes to your cash management goals. Okay, a little bit about American Security products. We have been 75 years in business helping people protect their assets. We genuinely want to help the industries that we service, not only in QSR and retail, but the emerging markets like cannabis, help them become more efficient in what they do today, and of course, more secure, so that the employees are secure, your business is secure, and your growth and your potential is also secure. So one of the things that we do today is we have a lot of solutions in place, from traditional safes to smart safes to cloud connected safes. So you have all of those data points to make those decisions that are going to help you become more streamlined in your everyday process. Steve, you want to talk a little bit about Dama Financial?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Edward. Yeah, Dama Financial been in business now for close to 4 years. We have now been able to stretch out into 16 states. We could actually have the opportunity to do all states as they come up in their legal. And that is including Hawaii and Alaska. Matter of fact, we found a problem in Hawaii where there was no banking solution in Hawaii, and we were able to make that solution. And so we're one of the few cannabis banking in the state of Hawaii that's able to transfer funds off the islands into the mainland. And then also too with Alaska, Alaska was a state where 2 banks actually decided to get out of the cannabis business and left customers with no banking. And so we jumped into Alaska, immediately started providing solutions in that particular state. And then we started offering the Smart Safe solution here recently, about 4 or 5, 6 months, probably about 5 months ago. And the other thing I want to add too with Dama is that it's just not the Smart Safe. When you come to Dama, you have a wide range of products that we offer, and you get the full range of a full banking with ACH, wires, checks. You also have the ability, we have a payroll solution. We also have the ability, what we call pay tender for POS type services. So we have a wide range of services we can offer up, but the Smart Safe is becoming a very, very fast growing solution for us.
And then I'll talk a little bit about Sectron Security. They are the only CIT carrier to carry a cannabis specific policy. So it's really important. There might be more coming aboard soon. And we certainly hope that there are. Your cash is insured and bonded with them at the custody level, of course, when they pick it up. all carriers insure and bond at that level. But what's unique too about Sectron is that they actually insure the cash in your safe while it's on your location. And that is a really big product differentiator. And then they offer, real person customer service. You can actually call and get humans on the phone and you won't get passed around. So those are some really standout features. And these are the kind of partners that you want to hire, people that are there, they're real, and they have real solutions that are tailored for you. They're not off the shelf and just, kind of fit into place as best they can be. They're literally designed for you. Thank you.
Ken, if I could add one more thing with Sectron too, is that they are the largest armor provider in the state of California. And also too, with that, the large armor providers that are global, like a nationwide armor providers, I won't mention any names, but they are not able to transport cannabis cash. You got to be very careful with that, which is why the independents stepped in to do this arena. And Sectron has done a very good job building the state of California as the largest independent.
Great, thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Sectran, partnership with Dominant American Security, to add to that, we are on the leading edge of this cannabis smart cash management solution. You want to partner with fintech companies who are ahead of the curve, who are aware of your needs, not only in cash, but in any of the solutions that can help you with the products, with the service, and with the technology that can help you grow forward. Okay, brings us over to growth hack number 5, future-proof today's technology purchases. So what that means for us is we want to make sure you're prepared for the next step. So you've invested all this money, millions of dollars, you have a great team in place, your employees are ready to go to work. How do you go to the next level? How do you grow into that? So that's where we want to leverage technology. We want to make sure you have the right process, the right equipment, the right partnerships, and of course, the right banking solution to help you grow to the next level, whether your plans are to become multi-operation in a single state or an MSO, a multi-state operator. We want to make sure that we can help you grow outside those boundaries into the next level of your goal. So how we do that is, of course, making sure that you have all of the right equipment in place and all of the right solutions so that you can better have a growth plan, right? You don't want to just go into another plan without having all that thought out and what that looks like. You want to make sure you have everything written down and understanding what you need to do based on your cash management, your cash flow, and all of your investments going forward. And we can help with that with the data and all the cash. Okay? So what we have is actually records where cash usage is actually on a rise, especially in cannabis. Currently with federal regulations, that seems to be a very high volume of cash in all these states that are legal. But when it comes to the management side, we're seeing very many archaic processes with cash, where in QSR and retail industries, they've already automated that cash using our smart safes. So we want to make sure we bring that over to the cannabis industry. We want to make sure that you're using the same exact leveraging, the same growth hacks that QSR and retail have been using for years now. And cannabis is able to then use those tools to become a better process. Okay. So as labor costs are rising across the state, here in California, labor is rising exponentially sometimes. And so we want to make sure that you've quantified how much money you're spending on employees and how you can offset that by putting in the right provisions, the right solutions, the right products that can help you offset those costs. Because at the end of the day, you want to keep that dollar to your profits, not give it out in very inefficient processes. Okay. So at the end of the day, oh, go ahead, Kathy.
Well, I was just going to say, I think what's really interesting, if any of you all, especially I've seen some of you pop in here that are with risk and finance and management and are probably consulting your cannabis clients. And the fintech presentations I've been on recently have been really, really intriguing. And they've been talking about how cash usage actually rose during the pandemic. And it didn't shrink. And you've got a lot of companies out there, like Square's a really great example. Right now, they're taking over the SoFi Stadium here in Los Angeles, California, and they are going to make it easier for people to pay digitally. That's great. We love digitization of cash, right? We do it. However, there's a fee associated with that. So if you're looking to shirk those fees for all of those digital solutions that, while are fine for people paying with, credit or debit, be advised that there is a solution for cash and people will continue to use cash that will never, ever go away. So this is a great way to be able to, to balance both.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on, somebody posted an insurance and risk management industry. How does that help? So absolutely, data. Data points are very essential when it comes to risk management. We want to know when somebody's opening a door, when the courier is being, when is that person showing up for the courier, when money's going into the safe and how much money is going to the safe. So we want to make sure we're risk averse with the right product that can keep our money secure, but also all the data points that we offer can help against employee theft, prevent employee theft, prevent external theft. We have alert systems for all our smart safes. We have that dashboard online that can give you all of that data point for cash inventory, end of day cash, anything that has to do with employee behavior. We want to make sure you're given all that information in this day and age so that we can leverage technology and give you the access you need to be able to very useful information that you can make decisions on for your cash management. And as we see regulations are starting to change, the political landscape is quite frankly topsy-turvy right now. Everything is very buoyant in the bureaucratic states. We want to make sure that you're able to react and pivot wherever you need by at least having your cash management process in a very efficient manner so that when things change, you know exactly what you need to do and don't have to worry about something archaic like having to band your bills. Federal banding today is something that does happen, and we see that as very inefficient. That's more money that you have to spend to band your bills and take them to the Fed. Don't let that happen. Have a smart safe, count your cash, have it secure, and have the CIT courier come pick up the cash as is, take it to the reserve, and then you're ready to go for the next step in your growth. So with that being said, hopefully everything makes sense as far as how to make a smart decision in your cash management, how to use provisional credit, how to use a banking partner like Dama Financial for your next steps, and how we can help you grow using the Smart Safe solution. Steve, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I saw one of the questions on there about why to use Dama, and so you touched some of the items, Albert, when it came to compliance. And one of the things that Dama takes very much pride of is the compliance that we have. We have a very good compliance team that really goes through and dots the I's across the T's. And also too with Dama, you get the personal touch where you get a personal relationship manager with you. You're not just going to an 800 number for any type of problems. You're able to call and get a relationship manager. And I would also add too is that Dama has continued to add more and more products and services today, knowing that the challenges that the folks in the industry are having, we recognize that and we want to help you to build that and how we can take those challenges away from you. And then what I want to do is recognize that I have to say this, and I have to shout out to my team on the cash team, is that to me, when you look at it from a compliance banking, you couldn't ask for a better cash team that you have in Dama that takes things very, very personal, and they really want to give you that personal touch.
So if anybody else has any Q&As, maybe raise your hand or type it here into the chat or into the Q&A section, and we will hang out here and wait for you to type those in if you have them. We'll also display our contact information. You can get a hold of us personally if you'd like. That's another way to learn more or request a demo. As Brian mentioned, there is an incentive if you partner up with either of us, Dama, American Security, or Sectron, anytime between now and the end of October. We do hope to see you at the big show next month. But between now and end of October, if anyone's interested, you do get quite a great deal on a new machine, your first machine, and the cloud service that comes with it.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for moderating today's conversation amongst Albert and Steve. If any questions come in over the next few seconds or so, we'll pivot and make sure that we address those. Otherwise, we'll start to wind things down and try and wrap up within the allotted hour to make use of everybody's time today. I did not see a lot of drop-off, so I really appreciate all the audience member engagement throughout today's program and participation in the Q&A and live polling sections. So as Catherine mentioned, please do note that we will be sending a PDF version of today's presentation along with a formatted video recording to all of your all's email inboxes this week. So stay on the lookout for that to hit your inboxes later this week. You can utilize the contact information slide that you all see here to get in touch with Albert, Steve, or Ronnie, depending on your interest in following up and partnering with AMSEC or Sectran on these various different elements of your all's business. Really excited that the team from American Security Services and Dama Financial were able to join us today. As they all made mention of, please do follow up with them following today's program to learn more about their products and services and to especially take advantage of that limited time offer that we will be offering to all of our webinar participants. And with that, thank you all so much for participating in another NCIA Industry Essentials educational webinar. A huge thank you once again to all of the members of our panel for presenting today's session, along with our audience members, and most importantly, our member business owners that make our work possible each and every day. Huge shout out and thank you again for the sponsor of today's sessions, American Security Services, a leader in home and business safe solutions for 75 years. As we mentioned, all of you all can take advantage of a free shipping and free cloud service for 6 months when you install their first smart safe following today's program. As always, we'll leave you all with this end of event credit sequence, highlighting the 30+ member businesses that participated in this afternoon's session and make up our evergreen roundtable for this current term. If you don't see your company included in this end of event credit sequence, don't be discouraged. That just means that you need to head to thecannabisindustry.org following today's session to join the movement for a responsible and equitable cannabis industry. Enjoy, and hopefully we'll see you again later next week in Detroit, and then later this month for another NCIA Industry Essentials educational webinar. We'll see you all then.
Brian.
Thank you. Happy growing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.